So the A7Cii Mark II was released August 29th, 2023, so it's not exactly brand new. And the fact that I'm filming this in December, end of 2024, why am I getting this going into 2025? Well, it's a camera that I've always wanted since it came out, knowing that its capability for photos alone are really good, and it's filming me right now. So as you can see, it's pretty foggy, it's pretty misty, and it still looks pretty good. So the ISO is 3200. I'm shooting on the 35mm 1.4 at 1.4. I've normally got a Tiffin Pro Mist black filter on, but I've taken it off so you can see the image out of the camera. This is the shot completely just raw. This is it color graded into Rec 709, so converted from S-Log3 to Rec 709, and this is the color grade that I've thrown over the top of it. So as you can see, the capability is pretty good in video and photos. So next, let's talk about the specs of the camera. Now, of course, one of the best feelings is a unboxing. So as I'm talking about the specs of the camera, you can enjoy some clips of me unboxing the camera. The box is so small. Considering the size of the camera, it does make sense. 33 megapixels, full frame back illuminated XMR R CMOS image sensor, Bion's XR processing engine, capable of 4K 10-bit 422 in S-Log3, advanced optical 5-axis in-body image stabilization, but it does have a big crop in 60 frames, weighing in at just 514 grams. You can get it in black and silver, which a lot of people recognize it for, but I got it in all black. Of course, like a lot of Sony cameras, they are pretty small but yet powerful. So if you are in the market for a small compact camera, this is definitely one to be taking a look at, or considering you're already watching this video, it's already on your wish list. Compact is definitely the main point about this camera, which is why I wanted it. Although the thing I would recommend is a cage or a half cage, as it will provide better grip. As one thing I did find is your little finger does tend to slide either underneath the camera and becomes a little bit uncomfortable without the cage on. Even with the cage on, my little finger still slightly slides like underneath, and that's with the cage on. Obviously it's got the Arca Swiss on the bottom for gimbal work as well. And also with the cage as well, I was meant to actually order a full cage, but instead I think I opted for the half cage by accident in a rush to get the to get the cage on. But I think that the half cage is actually better because you've got more access to the buttons on the top. So on the right side of the camera where the shutter button and the settings are, it's a bit more easy to access those. Whereas if you did have a full cage all the way over the camera, I think it would be a little bit more fiddly, just like the FX3 I've got. It's a little bit fiddly on the edges where the cage sits, but yeah, half cage works well.
Oh, it's cold. Okay, so taking photos is fucking sick. I'm not gonna lie. I've had the Sony A7 III and the A7 IV when they first came out, pretty much. I can definitely tell the difference with how powerful this camera is at 33 megapixels. Obviously a lot of the stuff is going up on social media, but when you actually blow the image up or you zoom in, it's definitely noticeable. So if we zoom into some photos in Lightroom, you'll be able to see how sharp these images are. So just as we're zooming in and looking around, you can see just how sharp these images are. 33 megapixels isn't an issue, it's more than enough for most of your content. Autofocus and modes are abundant, especially with the new AI tracking feature. So with the new tracking feature, when you half press down the shutter button, if you've got this subject tracking on, it will lock on to a target. So whether it's human, cars, airplane, insect, bird, etc, etc, it's got all the modes to choose from so that the AI in the camera knows what the subject is that you're trying to focus on. Example on the screen of what I mean, obviously just filmed on my phone, but as you can see the white box around the car. As you'll see from the video, the subject is already being tracked by the camera, ready for you to press the shutter button so it can focus and take the photo. There we go, 12,800 ISO, so it's a little bit better on the FX3. So you can even go into details on each of those tracking modes, so human, car, bird, etc. You can go into each setting, you can change the sensitivity of all these settings, so whether it really attracts the car, 100% make sure that the car's always in focus, or you can bring down the sensitivity so it doesn't track as much. I mean, you can either leave it in the middle like 3, or you can move it to 4 like I just did, and so it's a bit more responsive to what you're actually trying to track. So that is a pretty cool feature, and I mean, going into 2025, what more do you want from a camera than to be able to track your subject and never miss focus? Well, hopefully. So types of focus areas, you've got wide, zone, center fix, spot, medium, large and small. You've got expanded spot and then tracking zone, which is pretty much what I use all the time. Even in that, you've got the tracking zones that you can change from wide, zone, center, spot, and again, all different sizes. But I'd definitely recommend keeping it in tracking mode, whether it's wide or zone, just because it's always going to track when you press the shutter halfway down. So each RAW file is about 70 megabytes. That's uncompressed RAW. Now obviously you can go through different modes, but if you want to get the most out of this camera, uncompressed RAW files is the way to go. For example, a folder full of 150 RAW files is about 10 gigabytes. So if you're spraying all day and you're not caring about memory, make sure you've got big memory cards in the camera. Or should I say memory card, because it's only got one card slot. Yeah, I know, it's a bit annoying. It's about -2. I reckon we should go back inside and get nice and warm. And we're back. Okay, so editing the photos in Lightroom seems fairly easy, especially the RAW files. Because they're uncompressed and you've got so much information, the 70 megabyte files are easy to work with. From what I've seen so far, you can push the images quite far. Because they're RAW files and they're uncompressed, if you've shot a image that's underexposed, from what I've seen, you can push the exposure really far, sometimes 2 to 3 stops over in post, and the image stays completely clean. With a little bit of manual noise reduction, the image looks sick. As you've seen the images thrown on the screen, they've been edited using my preset packs, which is in the links down below. Also, MorrisMotionMedia.com is where you'll be able to find them. No one supports this channel apart from myself. No sponsors, no companies. I just do this all on my own. Shooting in low light situations where you need to bump the ISO a little bit higher still doesn't affect the final image, especially these days when you're taking the shots into Lightroom. The manual noise reduction that you can add, as long as it's not too much, can definitely weed out the slight bits of noise that you'll be able to see in the shadows or the darker areas. So yeah, taking photos on the A7C Mark II, you're not going to be disappointed whatsoever. How does it shoot videos? Well, instead of talking about it, I'm just going to throw loads of videos on the screen, not at the same time.
Well, obviously not at the same time, is it? You'd say. Wait, what were you going to say?
Don't know. You're the YouTuber, not me.
So I'm going to put in all the photos in chronological order.
Right.
Oh, you're doing the videos?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm going to basically post all the videos.
Post?
I
So I thought. So what I'm going to do is throw loads of videos on the screen shot on the A7C Mark II. Instead of talking about it, you can see it visually. Yeah, enjoy. So this is a camera set on the dash, which actually makes for a perfect tripod, and I'm testing the in-camera microphone, and the microphone audio level is set on 20. So if it sounds shit, then we know why, but I'm not going to do any post-production to the audio. This is how it sounds out of the camera, inside a car, so you can probably hear the road noise, and yeah, this is how it works.
Lots of storms going on.
Lots of storms going on.
I'm sweating my nads off.
I didn't know you had nads.
Welcome to the channel, the MorrisMedia Motion. No, Morris.
You fucked it. What kind of girlfriend are you?
Welcome to MorrisMedia Motion.
You still got it wrong. You don't support my business, do you?
Welcome to MorrisMotionMedia.
Fucking hell, man.
I'm tired. I've got no feel in me.
I'm ready. Tell him about your new job. Oh, yeah. Camera off. Let me tell you about my new job. Basically, I had this sauna thing, right? And they gave me a microphone, and I was like, great. In the ice pack, and I was like, okay. And they're like, oh, we'd love to do some media making.
So this is Al.
Oh my god, hello.
What are you promoting today?
No. Am I getting paid?
No.
I don't do that for free.
Exposure.
Built by me coaching. Built by Novo. Thanks, Hill.
Perfect.
Hastings, it's really far away from here.
Is it? See you later. So as you can see from the videos shown on the screen, gym, cars, vlogging, anything, it pretty much covers it. And because you're filming in 10-bit 422, the color is really nice to grade, or the image is really nice to grade in post. You can push the image quite far considering it's coming from such a small camera. The image that comes out of the camera is usable. You can grade it pretty well and it looks really crisp. Pretty much all the content was shot in 30 frames, and when you do shoot in 60 frames, there's a massive crop. I'll throw a demonstration on the screen what I mean. So 30 frames with active stabilization on versus off, and then 60 frames with active stabilization off and then on. So you'll get to see quite a difference. So it crops in so much, which is quite a big advantage of this camera if you are going for those slow-mo shots. You do have to take into account, especially if you're shooting in vertical. So your lens choice on this camera is going to be quite important if you're going for certain shots, but a lot of you, it might not even matter. One good thing on this as well is you can load LUTs straight into the camera. If you've got a favorite LUT that you like to use in post, you can load that onto your camera and use it to monitor your image to make sure you get the right exposure. Right, we're nearly there. Pros and cons. Small camera body, which is easy to use. It won't take up much space in your camera bag. Good battery life, as it uses the full-size Sony MPF batteries, the same as the A7 IV, FX3. If you're coming from another Sony camera that has those batteries, obviously you're gonna be able to keep them. Image quality at 33 megapixels and the videos at 10-bit 422. It holds up really well in post-production. Of course, it's a Sony E mount. It's got a flip-out screen, a 3.5mm jack for mics, option to build it out and rig it if you need to for bigger productions. The AI built in, helping with subject focusing. Also adding to that, there's a auto reframing mode that I only discovered a couple of days ago. So it basically tracks and focuses on you as you're moving in the frame, but that works really well and better than I expected. Now cons, and there's only a few which is surprising, is the crop in 50 frames or higher, so 50, 60, 120. The crop is pretty significant. There's only a mini HDMI cable, not a full-size one. That could cause some issues with rigging as well, and reliability in that small port and cable. There's only one SD card slot, which is annoying and I'm not used to it. As I've had the A7 III, A7 IV, FX3, which I've still got, I've always used both the card slots to shoot at the same time, so just in case one of them fails, I've got a backup. Luckily, I'm only taking photos mainly with this camera, with obviously a couple of videos for this YouTube video. It's never failed. I use Lexar memory cards, but it does force you to go and buy the more expensive memory cards, so you've got reliability and knowing you can have a bit more peace of mind than going for some cheap shit Amazon one. So they're just a few cons I found with this camera. I'll probably find more as I've only had it for about a month, but yeah, they're the main ones that I can notice straight away. Okay, I'm going to talk about my final thoughts whilst I'm using the auto reframe feature on the A7C Mark II. So it is a good camera. It's got a lot of features, even this auto reframe. It's something I didn't think I'd use, but it seems to be working pretty well. If you were to get this camera, I reckon you'd be pretty happy with it considering what it does, what it produces, the image quality, the overall package of the camera is pretty good and it's well put together, and I don't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon. So there's so many cameras out there that struggle to do the basics, and this seems to be smashing most points of what you need in content creation. Yes, it's got its drawbacks, its pros and cons, but at the end of the day, if you do get this camera, I reckon you'd be fairly happy with it. It does surprise me how good the image is. Obviously photos, 33 megapixels. It's clean, it's sharp, it's usable, and the photos are so good you could definitely put them on prints. So if this camera's for you and you've made it this far in the video, then go out and purchase it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hope to see you in the next one, and yeah, safe. Any final words?
That's